Morning, everybody, and thank you for this short presentation that I'm going to do for. Sorry, guys, please switch off your microphone. The course that we are leading here in Piacenza has joined your group of research about the Siemensstrasse neighborhood. But we decided not to work on the whole neighborhood due to a question of time and managing the organization of the class. So we are going to work, we worked mainly, and we are going to finish the work within June on a specific portion of the neighborhood, which is what you can see here in the screen, and which is the same portion of a big model that we have realized for studio. And you will see some pictures from that will be shown by students about their specific lot. The course is being divided into 6 groups. Every group has been assigned for a specific project, and then here you can see the single lot that were assigned to the single groups, distinguished by colors. So what we are going to, what we thought and what the students have planned is something that is a kind of test within the main and the larger research, a test on some specific sites, thinking what we can do that could be replied in the other part of the neighborhood, and which are the specificity, the peculiarity of the single plots that they are investigating. So what you are going to see are very different approaches to the problem. Also, the main goal is to try to give an answers to what you asked us about the quality, in the improving of the quality of living within this specific neighborhood. Some students will, will show some more, how could I say, external urban design approach to the problem. Someone else are going to work on more specific building design, so that the fact that the final result of this class will be very different projects and very different approaches to the same problem, depending on the single lot. So kind of site-specific project within a more global view of the problem. I would give immediately the stage to students so we can start the critique. And I can quit the presentation, the short presentation. Number 1 is the yellow one.
Yes, hello, good morning, professors and classmates. And I'm going to start to introduce how my work is. We are the group yellow, and now the group 1, which is led by me, João Vieira, Juliana Vieira, Sara Martini, and Diana Nandes. As I told, our site is the yellow one. So, everybody mute, please, from the class. Okay, so in our site analysis, Firstly, we're starting to realize one geographical and historical localization of our plot to try to understand the reason why the neighborhood we are going to work. It was designed in that way, it was realized in that way. So we end up with the city of Vienna, as we show in the map on the left. And about the historical point, we realized the point in which the neighborhood was realized during the Red Vienna and the social houses. So it was the start and the beginning of our work. So basically, we are also starting to do the site analysis towards the main features and characteristics which we could see in the area. Can you scroll down, please? Personally, we're starting to try to understand how people circulate in the area, and then we made some diagrams for circulation, in which we could realize that there are spaces which is possible to reach only by foot, and the spaces which is reachable by car, as much as there are very easy way of getting public transportation to the main access of the area. We also realized that the the however, we in our proposals we also we are planning to work with this point about the network and the transport characteristics. And then after we starting to realize and to try to identify the kind of services which we have in the area, and we see that most of very percentile of the buildings realizing that are residential, but also there are some services which is more towards commerces related by food services, which is kind of strong in the area, but also we could realize the point of the educational sites, as for instance, University of Psychologists, which we are gonna also develop during our work. Also, we could realize that there are many typologies of green areas. We could realize some which are collective, which are private, which are outdoor and playgrounds. However, those points, they are more just the green infrastructure, not the places which are properly designed to host people and have some gatherings and stuff. So as I told you, our plot in that first map, which was the yellow one, but as you can see here in the map above, is this red one, which is basically uh, the four buildings, which is residential with different typologies. They are also, but they are connected by different stores between them. So this was our working area. We could also realize that the building has different storages, which go through one, which in the commercial ones, and to two or three floors, storages. And then we decide also to do a SWOT analysis to summarize our analysis and give a more precisement to our work. For example, some of the strengths was a central position in respect to the neighborhood about our plot, a quiet neighborhood and a very quiet vehicular traffic. Some weaknesses, for example, the lack of car parking, um, the proximity to residential houses because they are very connected and they are very also small. The units are very small between them, especially in our area. We can see we're gonna develop this later. And then, but we also saw some opportunities, for instance, the possibility about above our area to put some car parking, uh, and the establishment of provided student houses, which are gonna also develop later, and some trends. For example, the unused outdoor spaces.
So, so we move for our concept idea. He reproduced some diagrams for our concept. So the goal of the project is improve the efficiency of the environment and not lose the authenticity of the historical heritage. And since there is no customers in this project, we mainly rely on our own ideas and design. But there is still only one requirement to make the central road, which also serves for the temporary parking, to make it pedestrian, thereby making this park more public and create new center of the district for all residents. Also, we have another requirements. It's like for find good solution for interaction with neighbor building. So we made the road pedestrian, but due to the small shops that connected the buildings, the view of the street was visually limited. So we removed them. And we also have another not unimportant road that leads from the kindergarten. We wanted to bring the innovation to the project to remove one of the four buildings and also thereby opening up the passages to the backyard and make it open to the public. Also increase space by reducing backyards or neighboring houses. As each of the houses is in this area has basements. After the demolishing of the central these houses, we were left with a foundation pit, and here we got the idea to make our public yard on the same level as the basement floor. And to get to this place, we where is this? Очень плохо, да? To get to this place, we have four ways. Two ramps from the northern and southern parts, also from the side of the main road. And in this last diagram, we return to the beginning. Since in our, where is this? Since we had the food stored between the houses and we took them from there, we decided to combine all three small forms into one and made a commercial center that will serve for all residents of the area and thereby attract a large flow of people. And here, sorry, very slow loading. And here we have the function diagram. Since in our project we pay more attention to the public landscape and the new commercial part, we decided that it will be convenient to make housing for temporary residents and the planning of the housing inside, it's like a little remind us about the student houses. So we decided that would be a good solution to equip the building for the student life. And so we see that how this area divided, and also where there our public space, there will also like the ramp, and we hide this ramp with the climbing wall. And also we suggest we cut the small area of these neighbor houses where they live families. So we also provide some playgrounds for these children who lives in this block neighbor.
Okay, so as said, we are planning to introduce student housings due to the high presence of schools and also the proximity of a university, the University of Psychology, which is reachable in 15 minutes by cycling. What we would like to do is, since before families used to live in very few meter squares, we would like to introduce bigger rooms for students. There are going to be two types of room, one for to share, so a type of room for two students or just for one student, and then common facilities. So we are planning to insert common bathrooms, collective bathrooms, and also kitchens. So to increase the feeling of being in a community. And we are also planning to design the outdoor spaces positively for them. So we would like to introduce benches and tables outside in order to let them study also in outdoor space. And also we would like to introduce a sort of sport areas still in the outdoor space.
Okay, then in the middle you can see our commercial building, which is 5 stories. One is underground, and then 4 is above the ground. On the underground floor, we provided some food courts, so people can easily take some food out, sit outside, or either inside. On the ground floor, we provided some food markets, so it's going to be different tents, which people can come buy some meat or do some different groceries. On the first floor, we provided different services, for instance, sanitary stores, pharmacy, different furniture like IKEA, and so people can buy whatever they need for their houses. On the second floor, we provided gym. And on the third floor, we did restaurants. So our neighborhood from analysis, the sense of small don't have places, so it's going to be a place where people can come and have a proper time together. And as you can see with different arrows, we have our vertical connection with elevator and stairs, and connection on left and right sides, ramps, and you can also get to the open underground area through the building, going downstairs from the ground floor to the underground floor.
And as this longitudinal building serves as the living space, so for other blocks we decided to create some more active space for the co-working for the students, and also there is the idea to create some hostel. Yes, and also this is like the entrances for this building. There is the between the bookshop and the reception for the hostel, and there is also the courtyard where also has the co-working space. It will be like the orangeria, like glazed space for the meetings, and also we have the canopy, and mainly our material for this construction will be the metal and wood. And also we see our sections. We see yes.
Also, another thing which is really important is that our plot is a central plot with respect the neighborhood. So we decided to insert a connection between the underground parking and the civic center, our commercial center, by making a connected elevator that brings people down to the underground parking. That's it.
And yes, and here yes. And here we have our maquette. So we see with simple volume how the space work. That's all.
So hello everyone, we're group 6, team red. I'm Calliope, and in my team are also Temenuga, Stefan, Roman, and Natasha, who are all here today. So I'm going to quickly introduce the site analysis. As you probably would expect, we've done a lot of research that can't really be explained, but I will try to briefly condense it. So what did we find out about our site? As you know, the Siemensstrasse neighborhood is located in the 21st district, so it is pretty far away from the city center. It has some connections to it. It is on the other side of the Danube River. It used to be a workers' neighborhood. In terms of services, there are some big shops, but we found out that a lot of leisure and sport facilities are missing. And an interesting thing that we decided to focus on was the typology and the modularity of the buildings that are in the neighborhood. So for our, we found it interesting that there is a strong repetition of types of modules. Mainly two types of buildings are represented, the inline type and the row type. And we can see that the main modules from the inline type are repeated up to 4 times in different buildings. And so we decided to use this information further in our project to work with this type. Also, the row type is represented in 2 models, and there is also a small portion of gallery houses, but we're not going to focus on that one. As I said, in terms of facilities, especially concerning our main street that all groups from Piacenza work on, there are a few places to eat, and on the both sides of the street, on the north and the south side, we have a bus stop, so a little connection to the city, to the central part of Vienna. But outside of that, we only have hairdressing studios, so not that many services. Another thing that we decided to focus on is the greenery, the vegetation, in terms of types of trees. In our plot specifically, we have linden and plane tree. And another thing that we've analyzed that you can see here is the placement of the trees. Because this is one of our main strategies that we use for designing of the open space. We've analyzed the way trees are placed or have grown in the different courtyards, mainly focusing on the typology that of the neighboring courtyards that follows the typology of our project area.
Okay, and then if I can. So to quickly summarize, our goals that we set after reading the site analysis was to first and foremost improve the quality of life of the residents, both the indoor and the outside life. Also to provide a better connection, therefore, between the public and the private one. Also to implement a better usage of the outdoor green spaces. And what's more, we also wanted to give identity to the space as well as to the people that are inhabiting it. So having these goals at mind, we started our design process. And the first thing that we thought about was the private part of our plot. And so we focused on how to enlarge the dwellings of the residents, because right now before that they were very compact.
28 or 32 square meters to be exact.
Yes.
So we decided to work on the plans, adding more space to the different dwellings. In order to do that, what we do is we extended the 2 facades. So we work on these 2 buildings. So we extended the east facade and the south facade. And what we did is we added space inside to the dwellings, and also we removed the staircase that was outside, adding a gallery connecting all of the dwellings that are on one floor. We did this for 2 reasons. First reason was to use the space where the staircase was to add more space in the individual dwellings, because we think that that is a very important part of adding quality, is actually having space, because the research of the plans showed that people didn't have proper bathrooms, only toilets inside, and they had to install douche in the kitchen and such. So we decided to work on that by adding more space. The second reason why we extended and made the staircase outside was to provide a meeting space and a gallery that would connect not only neighbors in the 4 dwellings or in the one module of the building following the 3 floors, but connect all of the neighbors that lived in the same building, and to offer opportunity to actually connect to one another, even by as little as passing by each other. Another thing that we wanted to do is that this gallery can be used also as a semi-public, semi-private balcony. We also left little spaces between the staircases and some of the dwellings where it can be used as a little social space, for example, smoking space, or to put some chairs out and talk with your neighbors.
Yes, and in terms of plans configurations, we propose two options, so to say. Our first, one of our proposals is that each dwelling is accessible from the gallery, and we have this kind of row house effect.
Yes, before that, the way that the dwellings were, we had, so 4 dwellings are connected with one sort of entrance, and we had 2 dwellings facing east, 2 dwellings facing west. What we wanted to do was to make all dwellings being lined in a row in a way, and to have both east and west look, how can I say, to look both east and west, and in that way to have equal access to both sides, and so to not make a hierarchy, but to make everyone equal in terms of their entrance place and also the privacy of their bedroom space.
Yes. And yeah, so here is the main facade of how we imagine the space. But the idea of this gallery, of this infrastructure, is to provide another step that will smoothen the connection between the private and the public. So after that, we focused on the outdoor space. And when we designed the outdoor space, we thought of it as a space where you want to feel as if it's your space, a space where you feel a sense of belonging, but at the same time as a space where you experience certain activities with other people. And with that in mind, we designed a space that we call the outside green apartment. And the idea of it is that it's a very light infrastructure that provides a sequence of spaces that have the metaphorical meaning of unreal apartment. So in this diagram, you can see that we made the central part the living room, where the main life of the residents will be. And then on the corners, we situated different, so to say, rooms that are the kitchen, the bedroom, and also we provided a guest room that will serve as a small pavilion where actually people that are not from the neighborhood can come. So it will be as a space where different events can be hosted. And on the right side, we also provided a small garden where the residents could basically grow some vegetables, and in this way to make the space feel more as their own one. And the last one we wanted to put was a landmark that will give an identity to the space. Yes, in terms of strategy, the way we designed the space was according to the trees. So we decided that the life of the space will be nature and therefore the trees. So the first thing we did was to connect all the trees. And then we created this grid that also derives from the trees. And then this grid we divided into smaller ones, so we can create different beams that can be used for sitting or for tables or for lying. So we used beams that are either 1 meter or 50 centimeters and arrange them in a different way. After that, we decided to to connect, the living room as one secluded space, and that's how we made this continuous line that goes through the whole living room. And then on the corners, we added the so-called walls of our apartment that are beams that are positioned in a different way and where people can sit or eat or use them in a different way. After that, in order to connect everything better, both the different rooms and the buildings with the galleries, we made these wooden beams that served as a roof of our apartment. Then we added the pavilion that is facing the street that is the pedestrian one near to our plot. We implemented the garden and we positioned the landmark.
No,
Oh,
go
sorry.
back. Down.
Sorry.
1 second, sorry. Изкажеш на втория. Ама, какво се случва? Чакай. Okay.
So yes, more or less, this is the way we imagined the space, as a space where you're free to adapt it to your own preference. So we provided different areas where different activities can be done, but we fully leave the residents and the people that will come to the space to adapt it in the way they think it's most suitable for them. And yeah, so we made a space for children, we made the space for gatherings, a different area where you can share food and drinks with the neighbors, or even bring us a stranger, meaning someone that is not from the neighborhood, but someone who is from Vienna, and where you can spend some time together outdoor. And those are some pictures of our model.
Before and after, so this is more or less how the space looked before that, and this is with our additions with the extended facades, and also with the new outdoor space. As you can see, we focused on working on the inner courtyard to provide the outdoor apartment where even more functions can be hosted than what you can do inside. So I think that's it, unless someone else wants to add something.
Can I mention a couple of stuff about the facade?
Of course.
Of course.
I'm gonna go back with. Okay. It's a little slow. I think you can look from here. Can you see the facade? Can you see the facade that is on the screen?
I just will. Okay.
Yes, we can see it.
I wanted to mention a couple of things of how we envisioned the facade. So we try to bring this regularity and also implement in a way the solution of the outdoor space with wooden beams. And just a quick remark on the rigidity of the structure, because we wanted to give some freedom to the people. That's not we didn't keep it enclosed, so there is a possibility to remove the upper level of each floor, so it serves like a sliding window, so everyone can have their piece of individuality, and everyone can decide if they want a more open space or a more closed space towards the open area. Yeah, that's all.
Thank you for the attention.
Thank you.
Okay, so yes, we are group 3. My team members are Javier, Madi, Maria, Federico, and Tamara. I am Federico. So we will start just by doing a small resume of the location of Vienna, just in case we are presenting to anyone who doesn't know. And where Siemensstraße is located. It is located in what used to be Red Vienna. So we will start with our diagram of our analysis of the neighborhood at 1 to 5,000 scale. So in this diagram, we were looking at the important things like the functions available around the neighborhood, as well as the pedestrian circulation and vehicle circulations that we highlighted with different colors of lines here. From this, we understand that the functions that are spread around the neighborhood, it's rather sparse, except for these two plots, the one highlighted in pink that I can try and zoom in here. Yes, which is our plot, and the plot opposite ours. This street here as well also experiences quite a number of junctions and therefore has a higher traffic flow, we can say. So this is one of the elements that led us to believe that this could be seen as the main access street of the neighborhood. So moving on, we did an analysis of the various building heights surrounding the neighborhood so we can understand how we can approach our project. Our plot is the orange one here where my cursor is. We can see that our plot is 2 stories tall, while the surrounding buildings are 3 stories tall. So we would see how we can take advantage of this in our intervention. Lastly, the language of the neighborhood is rather uniform. So most of the buildings have quite a simple white plaster facade with a pitch roof. So again, this would inform our intervention and how we will react to this. So I will pass on to Tamara to explain a bit more.
Okay. So as my colleague mentioned, we decided to focus our attention on this main street since we discovered that there is a majority of like commercial activities that are found in this street. So we want to turn this street into the major axis of Siemensstrasse by creating more commercial spaces along the ground floor front of our building, which will be over here. And my colleagues will elaborate on this further. And furthermore, this intervention can also be applied not only within our plot, but also along the main facades of the other buildings along the street. So for example, over here on the corners of the buildings, we can create little meeting pockets for the residents of Siemensstrasse in order to meet with other people and in order to interact with each other. And this will strengthen the idea that this street is a commercial-based area. Furthermore, we analyzed the configurations of the buildings and the open spaces of Siemensstrasse. So you could see, okay, wait, sorry, this isn't zooming properly. Okay, so you could see that our site has a more unique shape or more unique morphology compared to the other buildings. Most of the other buildings have a closed courtyard configuration, while ours is shaped like a 3, kind of. So this also like helped inform our decision for our courtyard design and for the design of our building in general, for the intervention, our design of intervention. So also we realized while analyzing the courtyards and the open spaces that the current open spaces within Siemensstrasse create more of an isolation rather than community, since there are not many facilities within these open spaces and there's no connections between the plots. There's a few playgrounds, as you can see over here, within Siemensstrasse. However, these playgrounds are in need of renewal since they are like outdated and slightly old. So we want to create better, more quality kinds of spaces or facilities for the residents of Siemensstrasse. Over here we have the plot slide plan in a scale of 1 to 500, and you could see our intervention of the courtyard compared to how it was before. So we created more pathways which would connect from one side of the building to the other in order to create more spaces for our residents to interact with each other, and this will strengthen their community and their bonds together. And also in the center of the courtyard, we want to create more facilities, such as a playground and some open gym
open outdoor gym for the residents to use them, and this will create more attraction for people, not just within our building, but also from the surrounding plots to come into our sites in order to make use of those spaces. And now my colleague will further elaborate on our interventions.
Hello. Okay, I would just like to begin back again to stress the idea about the two main focus planned of our intervention. We have the focus about the interior configuration of the buildings, the courtyard itself, which is a little bit more personal, that you could say more private, and the intervention that we plan to have along the axis of the street. So it's two separate interventions or two separate focuses which will work together to elaborate the best way for the residents to enjoy the space while in the same manner interact with the rest of the community while inviting other people to participate in the commerce area. So if we go a little bit more closer to the plan here, we see that we have a small part of the actual street which used to be a big street for cars. So the intervention that we wanted to create inside the commercial side, which would be the main axis of the street, would be decrease the size of the street for the vehicles, increase the size of the pedestrians, which will at the same time make space for the commerces that are among the line to place tables and other different types of interactive settings, so that when there is any type of special event, this whole part of the street can shut down, perhaps on Sundays, to become an only pedestrian street, which will in turn create even more movement inside this axis. So this is the increment of the pedestrian part, while also maintaining the tree line that was there before and decreasing the vehicular size. So that's on the outside of the main axis. While on the inside of the main axis, we wanted to focus on increasing the quality of life for the people that are already inside of the building. So one of the things that we wanted to implement was to take advantage of the new technologies that we are going to use when making our intervention, one of which would be remaking the roof. So in the idea of remaking the roof, it used to be, let me zoom in here. It used to be a wooden structure that used to be as tall as 3 meters. Sorry. So while replacing the wooden structure with a metal structure, we can make use of this 3 meters in a way that the new roof will be an open space for the residents to interact within each other without having to go outside of the building. However, if they do decide to go outside of the building, they still have the courtyard to develop themselves and to go to the commerce area, whichever they might appreciate more. Now my colleague would show you a little bit more about the intervention inside of the existing building. Yeah.
Hello. So one of our biggest intervention is the adding new level of the floor. So as my colleague mentioned before, our building is surrounded by 3-story buildings, while our building is only 2-story. So we have some kind of sort of privilege to adding new level to our dwelling, and also to complement the architectural language of the whole site. Also, in the one of the buildings, we will create a new model here. New model. Yeah. One of the main problems of our dwelling is the the internal configuration of the houses. So our dwellings consist of 47 mostly one-room apartments, which are about 30 square meters, with tiny bathrooms and with tiny kitchen. Our proposal is to combine 2 apartments into 1. So instead of 2 uncomfortable houses, we will have 1 which will be very suitable for living and which will increase the quality of the life. So can you please zoom to the old plan? Here's highlighted in the orange the old apartment configuration. So it consisted from 1 kitchen and 1 living room, which also served as a bedroom, and with a very tiny bathrooms there. So in our new intervention, which is just below it, our idea is to combine 2 apartments into 1. So it will increase the quality of life. Also, this kind of solution gives us an opportunity to increase the number of inhabitants in the dwelling. If previously the maximum amount of people who can live in the dwelling would be around 96 people, after this kind of intervention, as adding a new floor, adding new model, and combining 2 apartments into 1, the number of inhabitants will increase to 50% and become like 156. And instead of 47 uncomfortable units, we'll have 39 very comfortable housing with also another our intervention. Can you please zoom to the ground floor? Now here. Thanks. So one of the main problems of our dwelling was also the question of the privacy on the ground floors. So our intervention is to add the private gardens to the ground floor apartments. So yes. To the ground floor apartments. First, it will increase the quality of the life. Also, it will increase the space of the dwelling itself. So also one of our intervention is to provide the glazed entrance group. So the glazed entrance group solves the question of the security. The glazed entrance, the glazed entrances reduces the index of vandalism inside of the building. So it also increased the level of secure of our building, of our dwelling. Yes, excuse me. So in the master plan, along the street, we want to along to the street, to the main street of to the main road, as my colleague mentioned before. Here, which is highlighted with a B dashed line. I hope you can. Yeah. So here, the street that is highlighted with a dark red dashed line, we just along to the street. We want to add commercial units to our residents. It will increase the amount of the people, the quality of the life of the residents. So they will have a much more variation of the activities inside of the dwelling. So here how it will look like. Also, one of the very elegant and I would say even simple interventions that we made is adding the balconies on the upper floors, on the first and the second floors. It will increase the quality of the life, but also it will increase the amount of space of the dwelling. Also, one of our intervention on the balconies is to create a pot for vegetation. So our balconies would be basically green balconies, and the whole our elevation, after all the implementation that we made, would look something like that on the private in the private space, like that. So on the ground floor we have glass entrance group. Also we have private gardens for ground floors, and we have roof terrace on the roof. Yes, here on the street side elevation, we can see that along the street we have commercial area, and on the side and also on the elevation of the central unit, we can see the balconies in implementation. Yes, this is mostly all of our intervention that we made. All our intervention can be distributed into 4 categories. First is intervention of the courtyard. Second is intervention of the dwelling itself, dwelling extension of the upper floor and extension of the new model. Also, one of the the third intervention is the intervention of upper floor and roof terrace, and the fourth intervention is the intervention on the ground floor, which means adding the commercial units and changing the configuration of the houses and providing the private gardens. Yes, basically that's it. In this slide, we can you can see the collages that we made to complement our intervention and complement our design solutions. Also on the bottom part, you can see the models that we made. So with the blue material, it is the old existing structure, while the brown material represents our new intervention and our implementations. Yes, that's it.
Okay. Well, hello everyone. We're group 5. I'm Zainab, and my group mates Bora, Claudio, Diana, and Maria, they're all here today. So as a start, we started by a location diagram just to demonstrate our location of the site more specifically. And then we continued by a demographics analysis just to collect some information that would help us better understand our site, such as gender distribution, age distribution and groups, and nationality.
And as for the sunpad and wingpad, we want to indicate these 2 diagrams to help our design for our pavilion, we will show you in a minute, and our new configuration in the inside of our buildings. And as for the built areas and green spaces, we want to differentiate these 2 with on top of each other to see better the visualization of it. And we want to differentiate the public and private green spaces in the green space diagram.
We did a function analysis to see what is lacking around our site, or what are the different functions that we have. And then we continued by a road and mobility network to indicate the different roads that we have around the site and the accessibility within the site. In the following diagram, you can see the height analysis that helped us to understand the different characteristics of the buildings that we have in the site.
Sorry, Maria, we cannot hear you really.
Your mic is. Take off your headphones.
Now? Hello?
Yeah,
Oh.
it's better now.
Okay. I'll bring my laptop. We'll join on my laptop. Okay. You can hear now? Okay. This is okay. So over here in the master plan, we wanted to show a design for the courtyard. We decided to create a pavilion which serves as a marketplace for the residents and for people outside. And so one of the main changes that we made was the inside of the building. We thought that the walls in the plan and the organization of the plan in general was not it was working, but it was very clustered and it didn't provide enough open space because this is such a small space that we wanted to open it up as much as possible. So what we did was we removed the walls and reconstructed the entire thing, creating sort of an open plan for each of the dwellings. As you will see here, this is a plan of one of the dwellings with units. We measured and calculated everything with furniture that are standard sized, and you can even see that there is a lot more open space to organize however they would like. Another thing that we did was we changed the size of the windows. These were smaller. We made them floor to ceiling and larger. We also added balconies to the dwellings to create even a more open space. So basically our main goal was to create a more open space within the plans without actually changing the dimensions. So we did this with walls. These are the plans of the 3 buildings that we have. So building A has 3 floors, building B is the longer one. It has, again, 3 floors, and the building C has 2 floors. Building A and building C are identical in terms of their plan, and they were like that before we changed them too. So we just worked on what we had. And these are the plans again. This is the axonometry. Here we wanted to show the new configuration of the plans we did and how we added the balconies. For the balconies, we added a width of 2 meters for the residents to go out and to increase the space inside the dwellings. And for the divisions, we decided to have a sort of wooden division to separate the 2 dwelling balconies. Here we have the collage, and also our this is how we want our pavilion and the environment to look like. Inside the pavilion, we can see the different markets and how people can come, and it's a gathering place for all the residents. And here we also have the maquette with the new plans and the configuration of all the 3 buildings. Yes, so also, as you will see in the pictures, the ones that contain the entire building, they have the older plans, and the ones that are the one that is just 1 unit are the new plans that we did, and we thought it was necessary to do them in 1 to 50 instead of 1 to 100 to show them more detailed how much it actually changed. And also, as you will see, the new plans include the balconies.
And that's all. Thank you.
Okay, so we started with the location analysis of our plot, which our plot is located on the south end of the entrance of the so-called main street. And in total, we have 4 buildings, which the 3 of them are long and 1 is a shorter one. And the total dwellings is 103. You'll see that our building block has more dwellings than the other building blocks in our site. So while developing the project, we mainly focus on improving the overall life quality of the dwellings residents. And that was one part that we considered for our design strategy. So if we look more closely into the modules, the original plan of the long buildings, which are the 8B, 8C, and 8D. These buildings are consisting of 3 models, which 4 dwellings each, and each module has 2 types of dwellings that are mirrored on the other side. So they will consists of 12 dwellings on each floor, and this is repeated with how many floors there are inside the building. And next, we moved on to plot views, which is an important topic when it comes to our design strategy, because each building has a different relationship with regards to the street that is facing or the area that is facing. So while developing the intervention that we are going to have for each building, we had in mind that our buildings could respond the problems in a different way, but still keeping the more or less the same idea. So that's why we included the views inside our strategy. And our design strategy starts off with the simple idea of expanding the buildings with new structures, but this expansion is again done in a way that also connects to the views. So after that, we also thought of introducing a cafe on the upper right block of our building. So this would be the cafe space, the one that is noted with red. And you can see that it's very close to a node, and it's in vicinity of other restaurants. So we thought a cafe would match in terms of relativity with other functions. And the third step would be additional stories to some of the buildings, and also the transformation in open space to define a new relation with the buildings and their additions, and also the introduction of new service area.
Okay, so I will continue to the design steps. And so first here we have our building blocks, and first we will we'll extend the buildings on one side by introducing a new structure that is supported by beams along the facade, and also the addition of new volumes on top of the buildings. So for this one here, it will be a complete extra floor to provide extra dwelling spaces for either new residences and the dwellings that we lost while making space for the cafe and the service area. And for this one here, it'll be an extension for the dwellings on the top floor, which will make these dwellings apartments with 2 floors. And here's a more detailed view of the additional structure along the facade that will be on the 3 long buildings. So this area here, we'll see later more clearly on the plan, but this area here, it will be additional spaces to the bedroom and the living room, and it opens out towards this new platform. And the area here, it will be a small balcony also along this structure. And moving on to the plans, So starting from the ground floor, we also made changes to the open space to design it following the axes of the buildings, and also introduced 2 pavilions for people to sit. And then for the ground floor, this small building here, this is our new service area for people to park bikes or to place garbage bins or mailboxes, things like that. And listening to the previous group's presentations, we will also try to, for the next delivery, to make more variations in the dwellings and also include an elevator. We'll keep that in mind. And so here's an example of the extension. So this is the new structure, which you can see it opens from the kitchen and also the bedroom. And since these dwellings here, they have this extra extension space, these dwellings, we moved it up a little bit to make space for a bigger bathroom. And we'll look at the roof. This is the second floor for the apartments that will have the extension volume, and these are the biggest dwellings for on our block. And in the future, we can consider transforming this to be able to host families inside these dwelling types. And here's the master plan to see. Here are the 2 pavilions that will show more clearly on the photo collage. And for sections here, you can see this is the extension volume with the small balcony here. And moving on to the next page, and here's our photo collage. And here will be the new extended structure. And from here is a view from inside the courtyard where you have the pavilions and also a view of the new buildings with balconies and additional volumes. And Yasmin will present the model.
Yes, and also here is the model. You can see the model before, how it was looked like, and the building, how they looked before. And our main idea was to make extrusions and to use materials to not cover all the previous building, to pay attention to preservation this building, but at the same time you can see the additional volumes, but they look all together. And can you go closer please to the model after? Yeah, and this is some of the buildings. We did the 1/3 part of the building, so you can see the difference with existing, how it was and how it became. Also, we changed the materials for the additional volume from one side and the additional volume on the top. And also we did the separation inside, so you can notice it on the left bottom picture and the left up picture, the facades and the volumes in general. This is all about model. Thank you very much.